All right, everybody. Welcome. Hope you're having a good day so far. I just wanted to explain the virtual lab questions for today. I'll have another video walking you through the simulation, but for now, this is just explaining the assignment itself. So make sure that you open the PhET simulation. I've linked it in this document. It's also linked on Schoology, so it's the same link. Use whichever one is easiest for you. Um, there will be some icons, and again, I'll have the other video that kind of breaks it down, and that's really we'll do directions 2, 3, and 4 with watching that video. It will help you. Just as a side note, if you do have any problems running the simulation, make sure that you are using the Google Chrome browser. Also check to see if your pop-up blocker is enabled. It might just be blocking that. It's a trusted site, so don't think that it's malicious or anything like that. This is from a university, so it should be fine. And mess around with it, run a couple of different scenarios, environmental scenarios, and then answer the questions below. So I want to get into the questions to break down what they're asking. So question 1 says, what environmental factors can you manipulate or change in the simulation? There should be about 3. So I kind of put them, you'll see them in the simulation once you do it, but I put those there for you. Question 2 says, explain what happened in a scenario when you added a specific mutation. So there's a variety of mutations you can choose from, but I just want you to explain what happened. What environment was the animal in? Was your little rabbits in? What happened as a result of that mutation to the rabbit population? Did it get bigger? Did it get smaller? What was the environment looking like? Was the environment um, a certain color or a certain temperature? And be sure to mention at some point if that mutation was considered to be dominant or not. So again, your response could be maybe 2, maybe 3 sentences, but just to give me an example of the scenario, what happened when you added a mutation. Question 3 is kind of an overall question that gets to some things that we've already talked about and learned in this unit, not specifically from this lab, but what determines if a mutation is good or bad? You should just have maybe 1 or 2 sentences here, but I want you to really think about this, because this idea we talked about when we talked about mutations in our genetics unit, but it also applies to what we're looking at with evolution and specifically with natural selection. Question 4, if only one species is considered the fittest, kind of like survival of the fittest, why do we still have so many variations among species? Why do some birds have very long pointy beaks while other birds have short flat beaks? So I'm using the example of birds, which we're going to get into soon. But I want you to really think about, why are there so many different types or differences in the same species? And so you can relate this to a few things. You could talk about their genetics. You could talk about potential evolutionary reasons why that would be. But this is just kind of a bigger thing to consider, not necessarily specifically from the lab, but things to consider and think about. And question 5, how does this simulation mimic or recreate or copy natural selection? In what ways does this simulation fail to represent the process of natural selection? So I want you to think of, like, in this simulation, what ways does it show natural selection and those 4 things that we talked about previously, right, that drive evolution and natural selection? And what are some things that might be missing from the simulation? Again, it's a simulation, so it's not the real world. So things that it's mimicking that are accurate with natural selection, things that are missing from the simulation. Right? And so that's it. Those are the questions. Once you complete them, please make sure you submit the document and the assignment. And of course, if you have questions, feel free to email me or text me at that number. But I hope this video helped break down this assignment for you. See you soon.